All right. We call to order Centennial School District School Board Committee of the Whole meeting, Tuesday, March 25th, 7 a.m. Can we have a roll call, please, Ms. Rouge?
Mrs. Brancato.
Here.
Mrs. Crossan.
Present.
Mr. Gindhart.
Here.
Mr. Godekson. Mr. Hartline.
Present.
Mrs. Lynch.
Present.
Dr. McGuire.
Present.
Mr. Martin.
Here.
Mr. Sadowski.
Here.
8 members present.
Thank you. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Announcements?
Ms. Brancato, please.
Yes.
My announcement's very brief. We have a school board member who just turned 21, and today is her birthday. So happy birthday, Mrs. Crossan.
21 again.
Dr. Bedden? Nothing? Oh, he really does want to get out of here. Public comments? Do we have any public comments? No? Well, this is smooth sailing here.
Wow.
Approval of the agenda. Mr. Gindhart?
Okay, I am filling Mr. Godin's large shoes to fill again tonight, so I will try to do it right this time and not get ahead of myself, like I did last time. Item number 2, approval of the agenda. Be it resolved that the Centennial School District Board of School Directors approves the March 25th, 2025 Committee of the Whole agenda as per the attached. Are there any corrections that need to be made that are allowed by PA law?
Second.
Thank you. Second by Mr. Sanowski. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carries 8-0.
Okay, moving on to 3.1, class size. Mr. Hartline, did you want to say something?
I say, actually, I was going to say, Mr. Greenwood, do you have the slides from the finance meeting?
No, I didn't know what you were planning to present.
I thought we were going to be presenting that. Can we bring that up, Ms. Rouge, from the finance meeting? So,
For class size?
yes, we had a discussion during the finance meeting.
Right.
About 3/4 of the way down, I think it was.
It was there.
It was there.
Gotcha.
There we go. All right, and our current policy 126, and then the following screen, I believe also had breakdowns of our current enrollments, and then,
This is the class size slide.
okay. So, as part of the ongoing discussion with our budget, last year, we had visited this, and it's something I think we need to revisit this year. We ended up adding, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Bedden, 1 or 2 elementary school teachers?
2.
2?
2.
Because of class size changes, because of late enrollments, et cetera. As you can see, our current K-1 is sitting at 22 students. Last year, administration asked for a change to go from 25 to 26. Am I correct on that?
A1 is 25, yes, to go to 26.
Go to 26, and I think you asked,
Proposed, we didn't ask, right? We just shared that thought.
that was that it allowed for balancing, more balancing, et cetera. I think this is something that we need to consider as well. There are slides that had surrounding school districts where they sit. We are either right in the middle or on the low end of some of our surrounding districts. I think administration needs to put that information together for us. This is a very serious conversation that we need to have. It can prevent us from having to add late ads for teachers and rearranging classrooms. Additionally, we had to add classroom spacing, and that limited the classrooms that we rented out to the IU. And remember, that's that correct assessment as well?
Yes.
Is there something here, I mean, you're giving these numbers, 25, 26. What is the cost? What is the savings? What is?
The savings could be.
Not could be. Well, what is the cost? If we're going to, up
uproot all these people.
By
Yeah.
increasing
If we're gonna,
size.
You know,
Well, no,
turn everybody
that's the
upside
problem.
down.
You're not increasing size,
Right.
you're changing the guidelines to the policy to avoid having to add. So the cost for 2 teachers with salary benefits, average cost is $150,000.
Per teacher.
So can I just say
So
something?
you're not triggering automatic increase in
Right.
class size.
So before, I can only speak for myself. Before I would consider increasing class size by even 1, I would have to spend a day in the shoes of a teacher, and I'm not going to do that. So we do not know what they go through. We have kids in elementary school that maybe have not been diagnosed with, because they're young, with an emotional issue or a learning issue. And these teachers, if one child is causing an uproar, that teacher has to handle that uproar, and the other kids are sitting there. I don't think it's fair for us to put even one more kid in the classroom. And if we're going to trigger another teacher, chances are, we have so many kids come in after September. So I'm not in favor of increasing the class size by even 1. I'm just not. We'll have to find the savings somewhere else.
Mrs. Brancato, I really think that was a good idea, what you had said about observing a classroom if you can. Because being in a teacher's shoes, if you haven't been there, you know, I've been in schools for 25 years as a different perspective because I see what happens in the classroom that ended up in my office or through administration and everything else. I know what happens in that classroom. You don't think a 6-year-old can tear up a room. You don't think a kindergartner can brutally attack a teacher, an adult, another kid. And I think that to see what actually goes on, and plus good learning as well, but to be able to increase class sizes when, I really think you should walk in their shoes for a day.
Absolutely.
And not just the board members coming, everybody behave yourself. I think that, you know, a surprise visit to a classroom.
Well, I'm not going to really go surprise visit everybody's classroom.
No, I don't think the kids should.
But I don't think, I'm sitting at home in my pajamas when they're starting school. And so who am I to say one more kid doesn't make an issue?
Right.
Just even having ornery kids to get out the door, I know what I went through. I can't imagine having a kid who's not settled in a classroom and causing an uproar, and you have to say to 24 kids, just hang on a minute, because that's, I'm imagining that's what you have to do. I don't think we should put more kids in the classroom. That's just my opinion. Mrs. Lynch?
I agree.
Thank you. There is no way in this world I will ever change class size. I say that because we are now in an upswing in our test scores. Why would we start now changing a great pattern that we're in? Do we know the enrollment right now? No, we don't. We won't know that until everyone has signed up, kindergarten, et cetera, for our school district. So we're talking premature. Another thing is, every time there's a budget crisis, and I'll just reference, and you can all say to me, we are not the state of New Jersey. But education follows patterns. The governor in New Jersey has cut their budget. The first place they look is class size. This is wrong. There are other areas that wouldn't affect children and students as much as changing class size. I have to look at it this way also. How many teachers are retiring? What is the savings there? So there's other ways to offset budget crisis that right now looks even better than it did a week ago because of the IU change in the $2 million we're getting. So I don't think it's healthy. We want our students, all students, not just a few, all, to get the best education this district can give them. And by changing the formula that is of success today is an error in my part. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lynch.
Thank you.
So the next section is,
I'd like to add.
oh, sure,
Yeah, just one
sure,
quick thing.
I'm sorry.
Just to put everybody's mind at ease, class size comes up every year when we're going through the budget. It doesn't mean that any of us want to do it. It doesn't mean we have the appetite for it. We know what it means to do it. The only reason it's being talked about is because every year when we do the budget, we ask administration, specifically Mr. Greenwood, for every possible way that could result in savings to the taxpayers. This is just one thing of multiple items that are being looked at. So we just ask, all we're asking for is what can be looked at. This is being presented to us as something that can be looked at. It doesn't mean that we want to do it, we're going to do it. It's just something that's on the list of things that we're asking for. So put people's minds at ease that just because it's on a slide doesn't mean that we're automatically going to do it. If that helps.
Thanks.
Ms. Brancato,
Yes,
may I again?
sure.
This is not a budget meeting. This is a discussion. When are we having a budget meeting next? What items are we going to look at on the budget side? About line items for every department, but they don't do it that way according to Mr. Greenwood, and you do a good job, don't get me wrong. They do it by school. You can't tell me that there is items, aside from teachers, aside from administrators, that have line items in the school budget for the school that can't be whittled down. Last year, I asked for 10%, just to look at it. It was thrown aside, which I can understand. But on the other hand, there are many items that we can look at. Why, when there's a budget crisis, do we start looking at items that affect our students severely? Let's look in-house and look at, take 10% off of the line items in a school. Take any school. You know budgets really well. There's some of us that had to deal with budgets during our working time. And when you were told to reduce, you didn't have the option not to answer. You reduced. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs.
Mercado.
Lynch. So the next item is,
Wait, one
Just so
second.
you know, right, just as a point of reference, right? The district in the past 5 years has been below the Act 1 index.
Correct.
Every year, last
Correct.
5. The preceding 10 years, it was well over the Act 1 index. Year over year, it was over the Act 1 index. I'm not sure it correlated to better performance. I'm not sure it correlated to better test scores. But year over year, that's where we were. The past 5 years, we've been below it.
Right.
The past 5 years, we've been working to reduce costs, to eliminate costs, right? We have a very thin administrative group
I agree.
compared to other districts. So eventually, the 10% is difficult, right? To hold the line in an expense category when inflation is against you, you're in fact reducing your budget to get underneath that line, right? Inflation increases those costs, right? If our line is flat, we've in fact reduced viable expenses, right? We have contracts that we've agreed to, right? We need to fund those contracts.
Mr. Greenwood, I think what Mrs. Lynch is asking is for you to take another look.
I only share it, and all due respect, Mrs. Lynch.
I know.
But the district, right, is short-sighted in our planning, right? We
Well-
refuse to look at a 5-year plan. We
Mr.
only want to
Greenwood?
look at 1 year at a
Mr.
time.
Greenwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynch asked you to take another look. Thank
We
you.
will. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
we will.
May
Thank
I
you.
just answer this, please?
Sure,
Thank you.
sure.
I live in a very fiscal world. I live what comes in on my budget. I have to cut back. I cut back. We don't live in that world anymore. 2 million out last year. I would imagine, I'm guessing, I don't know if it's going to happen. We could duplicate that this year. We're not living within our means either. because we never cut anything back. What we do is we say, we need more money, okay, take it out of surplus. I'm not blaming you, you do a phenomenal job. But you know what? If you don't need 2 loaves of bread, you buy 1 if you don't have the money.
Amen.
We don't do that.
Well,
Could
I would like to,
Can,
all due respect.
Dr. Betting, could you let Mrs. Crossan get out her statement
Actually,
first?
do you mind, Ms. Crossan? Because
Go ahead.
We have cut $5 million over the last 4 years, so that's not true. We've left $2.5 million on the table, which would be a $7.5 million swing. Had we gone to just Act 1 as recommended, we'd be $4.8 million on the plus side. If we just went to the Act 1 last year, we'd be $1.8 million less of a deficit. So we have cut. We do cut every year.
You cut
We-
5 million and you took 4 million out.
So-
Okay, I'm sorry.
So we're cutting and living off of our savings. Your projections show in 4 years, if you keep that up, you'll be out of money. So you absolutely will be adversely impacting children in the school district. The way we're going now, everything we've done, we won't be able to sustain because it's not being funded. So that's the reality of what you're facing right now.
All right, thank you, Dr. Betting. Mrs. Crossan?
So this was discussed at the Finance Committee, is that accurate?
It was brought up, and this was discussed to increase the, all right, let me put my microphone on. This was discussed, it was brought up, and it was asked to talk about changing the AR, thank you, administrative regulation, to allow administration more flexibility to go to 26 students if they have to. If you notice the math up there, you have a situation in which we are averaging 20.3 students, or 21 students in a classroom. But if we were to have gone to 26 students, there would be 4 sections of 25 and 1 of 26, which would be at our limits of what we would normally do. This then kind of ties hand in hand with the next thing on the list, with looking at the boundaries, because we are getting, and
Wait, don't start
unfortunately.
that yet, don't
I'm saying, but they tie hand in hand, because this helps to even out student load as well, so that you don't necessarily have a situation where you have one school that has 25, 25, 25, 24, and another school that may have 20, 20, 20, 21.
Did the Finance Committee come up with a recommendation?
Yeah, to have this conversation.
Oh, that was the recommendation?
That this is a conversation the
All
board
that
needs to have.
Okay.
All that information is available online in the
Yes.
Finance Committee minutes. You can
Okay.
watch the whole thing.
It lasts 1 hour.
Excuse me?
It lasts an hour.
Okay.
Less than an hour, yep.
So all I wanted to say was, the next thing is boundaries. The other thing on the suggestion was block scheduling. None of that. Boundaries may happen one day, but it's not going to happen for September. That would be something that we would need to give everyone notice well in advance, because that will affect everyone. So that isn't something that's going to happen for September. The other thing is block scheduling. That isn't going to happen for September either, as far as I can see, because that affects too many people. It's too much commotion to happen overnight. So that would have to be something that was well-known in advance also.
And Ms. Brancato, in each of those cases, the presentation is not for it to happen the next year. You will be at this point every year, next year, when you say this next year. The ask, when the presentation was done May of 2024,
Yes.
was to start the planning process so you could actually go through that process, which includes public hearings. And so if you don't pull the trigger now, you'll never have it ready for the next budget cycle. That's the whole point of why
Dr.
it
Benton,
keeps
I'm not
coming up.
pulling any triggers.
I mean, to pull the trigger to actually start the process, to go through the planning.
think-
So that you could actually have the ability to actually make informed decisions. Going through the process doesn't mean you're going to do it, but that's the process so that you have something to consider.
So with all-
Each year, last year we sat here with the budget conversation around boundaries. In May, we had that conversation. And all that was asked was, do you want to go planning? In fact, your policy says it's supposed to be done every 4 years.
Well, with,
We've not done it. just like your policy, to Mr. Genhardt's point, says we're supposed to bring up class sizes in the budget process to present to the board to consider. Now, whether you do it or not, that's your choice, but we're following the directives that your policy says for us to follow. And as I said in my email, if you're not going to do it at all, then just say you're not going to do it. And it just
I'm not going to do it at all.
When I
There,
say
I
you
said
all,
it.
I mean the board majority.
Okay. So, Dr. Bennett, with all due respect, I think those are some pretty big decisions, and I am not comfortable, quote-unquote, pulling the trigger ever, to be honest, but I think that's something we need to wait and deal with later, because
Good news for me is it won't be my issue anymore.
yes, Mrs. Lynch. Yes.
Okay. We tried boundaries before. It was a total disaster. They did the boundaries where, if any of you are familiar with Madison Avenue, which runs between Street Road and York Road, the last time it was done is they took one side of Madison Avenue, one school, another side, another school. Parents were up in arms, their little children, big children, whatever, their friends were now going to different schools. The layout was a disaster. I wouldn't consider this in 100 years unless the presentation was so precise and the parents and all the partners in all of this would be knowledgeable of what could happen. And I base my opinion on the past time this happened. And if you go back into when the Planning Commission was here, and they gave us a beautiful folder and all their statistics, and it was very nice, but guess what they forgot? The Warminster Comprehensive Plan to look at. So I trashed that idea too. Thank you.
Thank you. So I don't think those are things, I understand you say you cut, I get it. But I'm with Mrs. Lynch. I think we all have to live within our means, and sometimes you don't buy the Michael Kors bag, you go to Target and buy that one. And I think that's what we're saying is, some things we want, some things you need, and you need to look at the needs first. And we have to be, what's the word, cognizant of the taxpayers. And the prices are going up for them too. People are having trouble even buying food. So.
How about eggs?
Mrs. Lynch, we go through 3 dozen eggs in my house a week. I know all about the price of eggs. So those are things we would like not to do, or at least I would. I'm sure other people, they've already said how they felt. That's not even on the table for today.
So when would administration like to have the next committee of the whole budgeting meeting?
Do your calendar.
About the next meeting.
Your
The next,
calendar.
in April.
Well, I was going to say,
Committee of the whole
I
meeting.
think they're talking a special meeting, not as part of the meeting.
Whenever you'd like to.
I say,
So are you, excuse me, I'm sorry.
it's better, Ms.
I
Lynch.
will be quiet the rest, I hope. Are you saying have a budget meeting?
Yes.
Yeah,
Like
because-
the previous 2 we've had, but we need to make some serious decisions at that time. We need to have the board express to administration what things they think they can cut. Administration needs to come back with the things that have been asked as well. I mean, I gave a hypothetical to Mr. Greenwood the other day about, what would a 5% cut in the operations budget look like? And I used the example of, the comment that he prefers is, back of the envelope. So a back of the envelope concept here of we're cutting the amount of paper that we send home to students. How much would that relate to? Is that something we could cut out? They're just hypothetical.
And by the way, that example you gave is a controversial issue right now because we can't keep up with paper printing right now.
Really?
Yes, so those instructional people out there,
Yeah.
are using more paper right now than they ever have.
I can believe it.
So then you would negatively be impacting the classroom.
So, but it was just, obviously just an example. So if, we could, everybody on this board for the most part has been through this cycle 3-4 times now, at least. Kick some ideas up and let's see if we can get some information back, because we need to make some hard decisions.
Excuse me, so Mike, so Mr. Greenwood, could you send us some dates you would like to have it, and then we can look at our overall schedule?
We will send out some dates.
Thank you.
So
Be on the same
enrollment
as-
questions, right, just for the record, right, so that we see, right? If the enrollment projections were actually short for this year by 89 students, right? We have 89 students more this year than the projections accounted for, right? In 3 years, we're anticipated to have 100 more elementary students in 3 years, right? Planning so that it is not done poorly, Mrs. Lynch, needs to happen in advance, right? In 5 years, we're going to have, per the study, we're going to have 140 more elementary students, just elementary,
And what are you basing that on?
on the enrollment study that was completed, right? If you call it trash, we'll call it, we may differ.
Well, I didn't-
But that study was done, right? So that
Excuse me, I
study
don't
in and
think
of
I called
itself-
it trash. Did I?
I thought, but I could be wrong.
If I did, that's not,
Well, unfortunately, that was a referral to the wrong organization. though.
Okay, so could you just send us some dates, and let's move on now, please? Thank you.
excuse me, I have just one more question.
Wait a minute, you said you weren't.
I know. Kathleen, just give me one more question.
No, you said it louder.
All right, who's
And
that?
that won't be the last one.
When we have our meetings, we have it in April. From the past, we lollygally around cuts. And Mr. Hartline, you know this. Then we get into May, we get really serious.
Let's get serious in April.
Yes. And then we get into June, we find out what the governor's budget is, and then we're really, really serious.
We won't know in June.
And his budget right now has been said to be dead on arrival.
Yeah.
If you could send us a couple suggestions, because the board does have a pretty packed calendar for April already, and we can look and see if those
Sure.
dates, if one of those dates would work, okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, good.
New business, Mr. Ginhart, if you could be Mr. Goddixon for tonight, that'd be awesome.
I will do my best to fill those big shoes. Okay, we have 4 items under new business. Does anybody want anything pulled? No? Good sign. Okay. New business. Be it resolved that the Centennial School District Board of School Directors 4.1 approves the personnel agenda, including rescinded job offer, rescinded retirement, retirements, resignations, authorization to employ, leaves of absence, change of status, mentors, co-curriculars, clubs, activities, as per the attached. 4.2, approves the purchase of 30 additional Pocket Talk mobile translation devices to assist communications with non-English speaking families throughout the district. District cost not to exceed $13,720. 4.3, approves retroactively the placement of student 1-8 at Keystone Freedom Academy from March 10, 2025, through the remainder of the 24-25 school year. District cost not to exceed $221.40 per day. Parent will be responsible for transportation as per the attached. 4.4, approves the overnight conference request for the Director of Student Services to attend the Pennsylvania Association of Pupil Services Administrators, Lifelines for Leaders, Navigating Challenges to Inspire Success for All Conference, April 9 to 11, 2025, in Leola, PA. District cost not to exceed $854.87. Second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Hartline. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Carries 8-0.
5.1, Education Committee, Mr. Goddixon, did not get back from his flight in time, so we're going to have to skip that.
I can do it. I can do it if you want.
Okay, go ahead, briefly.
Yeah, briefly. So we met on March 12th, and it was not that long of a meeting. The biggest thing that came out of it was the presentation for the Lego camp, which is fantastic. Every year, it's wonderful, and we're going to be doing it again. Encourage everybody to look into it, sign your kids up, it's awesome. If you want to see all about it, you can go to Board Docs, look at the Education Committee meeting agenda, and it's attached as an attachment for the Lego camp presentation.
Thank you.
And our next meeting is when?
Thank you.
April 9th.
Mr. Hartline, brief?
We've already done finance, so our next meeting is April 10th.
Thank you. Mr. Ginhart, can you do operations?
I can. I'm going to want to stipend for all this. Operations Committee met March 14th. It was a very brief meeting, but it was a great meeting because we were actually asked by Mr. Wortman to not buy something. So it was fantastic. He had put out a bid for a new backhoe because the one we have is falling apart, needs to be replaced. But Mr. Wortman wasn't happy with the bids coming in. He thinks he can do better. So he asked to not accept any of them and put it out again. I would like to compliment him on that. It would be easy to just say, yeah, let's just buy it, but it's extra work for you, and I appreciate your saving the taxpayers that money. That's awesome. And then we just have one other thing that's coming up to be voted on. Our next meeting is April 11th.
Okay. Mr. Ginhart, 6.1, please. You get paid double.
All right, hey, let me take this.
All right.
All right, items presented for information under Education Student Services Committee, there are none. Items presented for approval, does anybody want anything pulled?
A, please.
A? Anything else? Okay. Be it resolved that the Centennial School District Board of School Directors, 6.2B, approves the overnight conference request for the Assistant to the Superintendent for Academics and Student Services and the Supervisor of Teaching and Learning to attend the PA Association of Federal Program Coordinators Conference, May 11 to 14, 2025 in Hershey, PA. District costs not to exceed $3,300. 6.2C approves the updates to the 2025-2026 Middle School Program of Studies, no cost to the district. 6.2D approves the purchase of a new digital science textbook and resources, district cost not to exceed $651.60. 6.2E approves the purchase of the library book order for Klinger Middle School, district cost not to exceed $175.57. 6.2F approves the purchase of the library book order for Log College Middle School, district cost not to exceed $2,002.35. 6.2G approves the purchase of the library book order for McDonald Elementary School, district cost not to exceed $1,122.88. 6.2H approves the purchase of the library book order for William Tennant High School, district cost not to exceed $2,706.67. Second?
Second.
Mrs. Link seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carries 8-0. Back to 6.2A. Approves the renewal of the agreement with Professional Learning Partnerships for continued professional development for the 2025-2026 school year, including the Science of Learning in the Brain, Teacher Leader Fellowship Program, Think Tank Innovators Program, and Partner Membership. Digital library license, district cost not to exceed $65,700. Can I get a second?
Second.
Mrs. Crossan? Mr. Martin?
Yeah, thank you. I did have a couple of questions, especially in light of the conversation that started at the beginning of this meeting, where we have a budget deficit of millions of dollars. I was just wondering if two things. One, if someone could explain to me in plain, non-educational English so that I can understand it. If all the rest do, that's great. I don't. What the real value is in a program that deals with, first of all, it's the fourth year we've had it, so we've had it for a while. The science of learning in the brain, a teacher fellowship program, a think tank innovators, an administrators leader fellowship program, and a partner membership digital library license. Now, if I'm looking to save money, I might take a look at some item like this, which is a significant amount of money, and maybe it's a wonderful program. I'm not criticizing the program in any way, shape, or form. What I'm asking is two things, for my own benefit, if no one else's. In plain English, what the hell does this do? And secondly, if we didn't have it, what would be the negative outcome? And I thank you very much for those inputs.
And with that, I'm going to punt to Mr. Gabriel.
No problem. Hello.
There he is.
I'm here. No, I'm here.
Sorry.
I know. I need
Looking over there.
a stool to stand on. I know I'm short and everything, but, so this would be the fifth year, Mr. Martin, that we've partnered with Julia Skolnick and Professional Learning Partnerships. Well, we've already done, this is our fourth year currently, this would be going into a fifth year. And actually, prior to me being here, we worked with the Franklin Institute for a long time. Those of you that have been around, this was an extension of the work with the Franklin Institute and their Science of Learning in the Brain kind of institute, which folded after COVID. So we've had a long-standing relationship with this young lady and her work around the science of learning in the brain. It's been used to help develop our new teachers. It's been used to help develop our current teachers. It's a part of our induction program. In a nutshell, Mr. Martin, it develops better teachers aligned to brain science so that we're actually putting practices into place that are good for kids and how they learn based off of their brains. We are developing teacher leaders through the program. We're investing in our actual teachers to then do turnaround training in our buildings. We've developed our administrative team the past few years. We've moved away from that. This year, the most recent iteration, which we're going to look to continue, is working in our buildings, doing culture and climate work with our teachers and our building administrators with Julia's support and help, all aligned to the science of learning in the brain. From a budget standpoint, just so you're aware, teaching and learning last year cut over 13% of their budget, and technology cut over 23% of their budget to help meet the budget deficit. This is not investing in our teachers. Mr. Martin, is not an area we want to cut back on. Professional development is not an area we would want to cut back on. And this is literally outside of one grant-funded opportunity. This is the only professional development third party that we pay for at this point. That is not already coming with like a new curriculum adoption. Because we were doing a lot of third party a few years ago, we were with the AIM Institute, which was costing a lot of money. We were working with the Penn Literacy Network, which was costing a lot of money. We were working with Julia Skolnick, which was costing money. We've slowly over time trained internally our own people to run some of that internally, and this is the last kind of bastion of we still believe this brings a value add from a third party, especially being able to work on our climate and culture in our buildings, which is something that through our surveys over the last year, teachers identified was a real need to help improve. And so Julia is guiding that process through the science of learning and leadership and the brain, and understanding that there are certain things our brain needs in order to feel comfortable, safe, and move forward together as a team, and that's the work she's bringing to the district. So what would get lost, we'd stop growing, right? We'd stop working on climate and culture in a way that's guided and objective, and we would stop growing our own teachers and being up on current research and brain science. Right, and this is the last third party that we're paying for in mass like this. Almost everything else we've done, we've either moved on from, or we've built internal systems to do the turnaround training ourselves as part of our efforts to help with the budget crisis we've been in for 5 years now.
Mr. Martin, you good?
Not really, but if we had a lot of money, this might be a wonderful thing. We don't have.
Mr. Gabriel, I have a question before you sit. I was waiting for Mr. Martin.
And I just, well, regarding new teachers who just maybe have graduated from 4 years or 5 years of education at some of our fine institutions, they don't teach them anything about how the brain works and how you learn? They
not part of
don't do that?
That's
They
not
don't
part
do
of
that?
undergraduate programs, no.
Wow.
Dr. McGuire?
Everybody thinks we have the money to do it, then fine.
Can you just explain what the cultural and climate program is about?
So our surveys last year indicated that we had some climate and culture work to do in our buildings, meaning people feeling safe, comfortable, heard, things of that nature. And so what Julie is doing and what we've done this year is we've had 3 meetings so far as a district-level team with every school building administration, school building teachers, teacher leaders, and then they've been meeting separately in the buildings. And what we're working on this year is trying to identify what's the core of what their building sees as essential to building a climate and culture that everyone's happy with, a part of, is willing to grow in. And then what we're having Julia work on with us, and they'll be getting some time during an in-service day at the end of the year, and then our climate and culture teams of teachers and school administrators will be opening up part of our in-service day in the fall, actually implementing some of the work they've done this year, and then working with their entire buildings on ways, practical and tangible ways in which they can improve climate and culture in the building.
Dr. McGuire, the succinct answer is, we actually read the information our teachers fill out and try to respond and do something with that information, or else why bother to ask them? So you bring in someone to actually respond to what you read on those surveys to try to do better.
Mr. Hartline?
So, on the virtual lessons, how many individuals, how many teachers are participating in that? I see on some of the other ones, we have 7 people, 4 people, et cetera, but on the virtual, how many are we able to, what's the capacity for those, do we know?
Where do you see virtual?
So I'm saying 3 1.5-hour virtual sessions, 4:30 to, the very first one, Science of Learning.
That was from 2021.
Okay.
We're only looking, I was just giving you a history of what we've done, right? Because that was in the middle of that weird post-COVID hybrid year, so a lot of that was virtual. This year, currently, I mean, the teams are made up of close to 60 to 70 teachers from across the 6 buildings. And then the work they'll be influencing is obviously all 430 members as they turn around the work and run the in-service.
Okay.
So we're really just looking at that year 5 is what the services are as outlined in the backup paperwork. This chart was just a history of sort of the relationship we've had in the different areas we've worked on strategically each year to move it from sort of high-level district all the way down to building.
Thank you.
And Mr. Gabriel, from what I remember from Education Committee, teachers are required to get a fair amount of professional development credits, and this goes a long way towards.
This goes towards your Act 48 credits, yes.
Any more discussion or questions? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. Abstentions? Carries 7-1.
Mr. Hartline?
The only thing we have this evening for information is the Pennsylvania State Liquid Asset Funds schedule of investments, and we have no items being brought forward for approval.
Okay. 8.1, items presented for information, none. 8.2, does anybody want anything pulled? Be it resolved that the Centennial School District Board of School Directors, 8.2A, awards computer RFP 2025-13 to Dell for a 4-year lease purchase beginning July 1st, 2025, to replace devices for faculty and students throughout the district. District cost not to exceed holy moly, can't see it, $856,888.17 per year. 8.2B approves the rejection of the backhoe bid 2025-12.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Board comments? Does anybody have any more comments?
I do.
Circle back for
If we could keep it brief, because we've already.
I got you, I got the look already.
Okay.
So when I said about going into the classroom, and I talked about horrible things that could happen, or teachers may have to deal with every day, I just want to make sure that people understand that there's a lot of growth in classrooms, a lot of learning in the classrooms. You know, I've seen horrible things, disruption, but they do a great job. And if you increase the class size, who knows where, like Jane said about, our grades are getting better and better because maybe the class size has to do it. But it's not always a bad scene, which I think I've portrayed it out to be.
No, nobody thought you meant.
So I apologize for the teachers and
Listen,
stuff, and I thank you for coming tonight too. as well.
Everybody's had kids who goes to school, and, you know, God bless the teachers that had the Brancato children, because some of my kids caused commotions. Some of my, so they've had to deal with those things. I could not do what they do, because I would lose my mind. So I thank them, because you have the patience of a saint. Mr. Sadowski?
Yep, real quick, just congratulations to our student musicians on the middle and high school levels who performed in the BCMEA performances over the weekend. They were fantastic, so congrats to them for their hard work that went into that. They auditioned, they made it to that kind of select group, and performed all throughout the weekend in different concerts, and they were all fantastic, so well done.
Thank you. Mr. Hartlow?
Oh, and Klinger's Bingo is coming up this weekend. Yes, great opportunity.
What's that? You want to do the play?
Go for it.
Okay, well, I was going to say, your child did an outstanding job at the play.
Thank you.
I think just about everybody from the board had an opportunity to see it. The students did an absolutely outstanding job. Coming up this week, to follow on that, Friday night, the 28th at the high school, is a jazz festival. And then starting March 30th is Fine Arts Orchestra Night, Jazz Night, Concert Night, Choir. So please keep your calendar open and come on by and continue to listen to what an outstanding job that our students are doing.
Thank you. Mr. Sadowski, do you want to let them know about the Coach Bag Bingo?
Oh, yeah, just it's organized by the Klinger Home and School Association.
Is it at Spring Mill?
Yeah, it's at Spring Mill coming
Yeah.
up this weekend. So great opportunity, fun evening, fundraiser for, our Klinger Clippers. So
And if anybody wants to buy a ticket, they can go on the Klinger Facebook page. Is that correct?
I would have to see if it's posted there. I know Klinger
sorry.
Home and School has a Facebook page too, so it's definitely there if it's not on there.
There.
All things Centennial.
Yeah. All right, Mrs. Lynch?
New category so I can speak.
Sure, we're keeping it brief, Mrs. Lynch. Go ahead.
Mr. Cott, I will. I just wanted to say Mamma Mia was fantastic, and Mr. Sadowski, your son was marvelous, along with all the other children. I would also like to thank Glenn, our custodian, for his Easter decorations as you walk into this building. He does a fantastic job, and at times, he pays for some of the decorations himself. The last thing I have is, there was nothing on television last night, so I watched Hatboro Horsham School Board meeting. Ours are so much more interesting than theirs. I kid you not.
You need to get a movie channel if you're watching on school.
Thank you.
Okay, are we good?
Would you like a motion to adjourn?
So
Hold on. Then, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion moved.
Okay. The next meeting of the Committee of the Whole will be April 22nd, 2025. Dr. Bennett, you are